Humiliated for her mother's occupation at a wealthy teens party, Amara is forced to confront prejudice and redefine her identity. But as her resolve grows, so does the question: can she truly overcome society's deeply entrenched biases, or will the past continue to haunt her path to justice? Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more exciting content, and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. Now, let's dive in. Amara checked her reflection one last time before leaving for the birthday party. Her curly hair was neatly styled, and she wore a simple, elegant dress that Nia had saved up to buy for her. Despite the anticipation, she felt a growing knot of anxiety in her stomach. Amara knew she was entering unfamiliar territory, but she was determined to be brave. The mansion was buzzing with music, chatter, and laughter. It was one of the grandest places she'd ever seen. Glittering chandeliers, spacious rooms adorned with art, and servers offering trays of delicate appetizers. Amara scanned the room, trying to spot a familiar face. As she moved further into the crowd, the whispers began. "Isn't that the maid's daughter?" she heard someone murmur behind her. She ignored it, focusing on breathing deeply and smiling when necessary. Sophia, the birthday girl, noticed Amara and waved her over. "I'm glad you could make it," she said, but there was a slight edge in her tone. Amara felt awkward, unsure if the invitation had been genuine. Still, she was determined not to let her insecurities show. Throughout the evening, Amara tried to engage in small talk. She chatted with a group of girls about school and sports, but the conversation often veered toward material things: luxury vacations, expensive clothes, and private tutors. Amara listened politely, contributing when she could, but it was clear she came from a different world. There were moments when the subtle prejudice became more apparent. One girl, Alexa, commented on Amara's hair with a patronizing smile, saying, "Your curls are so interesting. How do you even manage them?" Another remarked on Amara's darker skin tone, calling it exotic, as if she were a rare specimen on display. Each comment, though disguised as curiosity, carried a weight that Amara felt deeply. She managed to smile through it all, reminding herself of her mother's words: "Be proud of who you are, no matter what." Just when Amara thought she could get through the evening unscathed, Sophia proposed a game of truth or dare. The group eagerly agreed, and Amara hesitated but didn't want to seem like a coward. She joined reluctantly, knowing she had to be cautious. The game started innocently enough, with dares to dance awkwardly or truths about crushes. Amara began to relax, thinking maybe she'd misjudged the night. Then it was her turn. Sophia's eyes sparkled mischievously as she said, "Truth or dare, Amara?" "Truth," Amara responded, wanting to avoid anything potentially embarrassing. Sophia leaned forward, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Is it true that your mom is our maid?" The question sliced through the room like a knife. The laughter that followed was a mix of discomfort and mockery. Amara felt as if the ground had been pulled out from under her. She felt her cheeks flush and her hands tremble. It wasn't the question itself that hurt. Amara was proud of her mother's hard work, but the way it was asked, like it was a joke for others to find entertaining. Amara stood up slowly, trying to keep her voice steady. "Yes, it's true. My mother works hard every day to make sure I have a good life, and I'm proud of her." There was a stunned silence in the room, and for a brief moment, Amara felt a flicker of satisfaction. But it was quickly drowned by the overwhelming urge to get out of there. She walked away from the circle, tears pricking her eyes. Once outside, she let the tears fall freely. The cool night air felt like a slap against her hot cheeks. She heard footsteps approaching, but didn't bother to turn around. "Amara, wait." It was Liam, a boy who'd been mostly silent during the game. "I'm sorry about what happened in there. It wasn't right." Amara wiped her tears hastily, not wanting to show vulnerability. "It's not your fault," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But thanks." Liam looked uncomfortable, unsure of what to say next. "For what it's worth, I think you were brave back there." Amara managed a small smile, appreciating the sentiment, but still feeling hollow inside. "Bravery doesn't make it hurt any less," she replied. When she finally reached home, Nia was waiting up for her. Amara broke down as soon as she stepped inside, recounting the entire story between sobs. Nia listened quietly, holding her daughter close. After a long silence, she said, Amara, their ignorance doesn't change who you are or what you're capable of. Remember, their words can only have power if you let them. The words were meant to be comforting, and in a way, they were. But as Amara lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, the pain of the evening lingered. It was a harsh reminder that no matter how far she tried to distance herself from societal labels, they seemed to follow her everywhere. Yet, beneath the hurt was a growing sense of determination. Amara decided she wouldn't let this incident define her. She would use it as fuel to drive her forward. The next morning, Amara awoke with a heavy heart. She tried to shake off the events of the previous night, but they replayed vividly in her mind. The mocking laughter, Sophia's condescending tone, and the pitying glances haunted her. She wanted to curl up under the covers and stay there, but she knew that wasn't an option. Downstairs, Naya was busy making breakfast, her face wearing its usual gentle smile. Amara paused for a moment, taking in the sight of her mother's familiar strength. Nia had always been a steady force in her life, working long hours, yet never missing an opportunity to remind Amara of her worth. "Come, have some breakfast," Nia said warmly, placing a plate of pancakes on the table. Amara sat down, her appetite lost but her need for comfort stronger. Nia sensed the heaviness in Amara's demeanor. "It's okay to be hurt," she said softly, her voice tender yet firm. "But you need to remember that their opinions don't define you." "I know, Mom," Amara replied, her voice tinged with frustration. "But it's just so exhausting. Why do people always have to label us and make assumptions?" Naya's eyes were filled with a mix of sadness and wisdom. "Because it's easier for them to put us in boxes than to try and understand us. But Amara, you are not their assumptions. You come from a line of strong people who never let others' judgments hold them back." Nia's words resonated deeply. But it wasn't until she brought out an old photo album that Amara began to understand the full scope of her family's strength. As they flipped through the worn pages, Nia pointed to a picture of a stern-looking man with kind eyes. "That's your grandfather, Robert," she said, her voice filled with pride. "He was a civil rights activist who fought against discrimination. He believed in equality and justice for all, and he never backed down, even when things got tough." Amara's eyes lingered on the photo. She had heard bits and pieces about Robert's life, but seeing his determined face made it feel more real. "He looks brave," she murmured. "He was," Naya affirmed. "And that same bravery is in you. You have his spirit, Amara. You're stronger than you think." The story of her grandfather ignited a spark within Amara. It was a reminder that she wasn't just fighting for herself. She was part of a legacy of resilience. It made her determined to not let one humiliating night define her future. With renewed purpose, she threw herself into her schoolwork and extracurricular activities, excelling in her classes and joining the school's debate team. At school, Amara was initially met with awkward stares and whispers, remnants of the party's gossip. However, she carried herself with a newfound sense of confidence. She wasn't just the maid's daughter. She was Amara, a brilliant student with a bright future ahead of her. The subtle prejudices still existed, but Amara felt better equipped to handle them. Amara's growing presence did not go unnoticed by her peers, including Liam. He approached her one afternoon, catching up to her as she walked down the school hallway. "Hey, Amara," he began, slightly out of breath. "I just wanted to check on you. You seem different." Amara stopped, surprised by his sincerity. "Different in a good way or a bad way?" "In a good way," Liam said quickly. "I mean, after everything that happened, I thought you might be down, but you seem stronger." Amara appreciated Liam's honesty. He had been one of the few who hadn't joined in the laughter at the party. She decided to give him a chance, feeling that he might be someone worth trusting. "I've just realized that I can't let one night define me," she said simply. Liam nodded thoughtfully. "I admire that, and I'm really sorry about what happened. I know an apology can't erase it, but I want you to know that not everyone in that room is like Sophia." Amara felt a small sense of relief. "Thank you, Liam. I appreciate you saying that." Over the next few weeks, Amara and Liam's friendship grew. They would often meet at the library after school, discussing everything from history to social issues. Amara found herself opening up to him about her dreams, her fears, and her grandfather's legacy. Liam, in turn, shared his own struggles of feeling pressured to fit into the wealthy, elite crowd. He admitted that he often felt conflicted by the values of his peers. One day, Liam invited Amara to a community event focused on promoting diversity and understanding. It was organized by a local youth group that Amara wasn't familiar with, but she was intrigued. When they arrived, Amara was surprised to find Sophia there too. Sophia seemed different, less poised, more sincere. She approached Amara hesitantly. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to see," she began, her voice lacking its usual confidence. "But I'm trying to make amends. What I did was wrong, and I want to learn how to be better." Amara's initial reaction was one of skepticism. It was hard to believe that someone who had so effortlessly humiliated her could change so quickly. But she also remembered her mother's words about forgiveness and growth. People, no matter how flawed, had the capacity to learn and change. "It's not easy to undo the past," Amara said slowly. "But if you're sincere, I'm willing to give you a chance." Sophia's face lit up with genuine gratitude. "Thank you, Amara. I really am trying." Amara still felt wary, but she appreciated the effort. The event was filled with meaningful discussions, workshops, and activities that encouraged empathy and understanding. As Amara participated, she felt a sense of belonging that had been missing for a long time. It was a reminder that there were people who genuinely cared about change and progress. The evening ended with Amara and Liam sharing a quiet moment outside the event center. "I think tonight was a step forward," Liam said, looking at Amara with admiration. Amara smiled. "It was. And I think I'm starting to realize that change doesn't happen overnight. It's about small steps, like tonight." "Exactly," Liam agreed. "And you've taken some pretty big steps already." Amara felt a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time in a while, she felt hopeful, not just for herself, but for the possibility of real, lasting change. Her heart still carried scars from that night at the party, but they were healing, slowly but surely. The days following the community event were a mix of new connections and lingering doubts for Amara. Though she still faced the occasional judgmental glance at school, she also noticed something changing. Some of the students, including a few of Sophia's former close friends, had started to approach Amara in unexpected ways. Some to offer words of support, others to share their own stories of feeling marginalized in different ways. Amara's transformation had become evident not just to her peers, but also to her teachers. Her debate coach, Mr. Carter, noticed her growth and invited her to lead a discussion about prejudice in the upcoming school assembly. This opportunity felt monumental to Amara. It was a chance to voice her feelings, confront the issues head-on, and perhaps inspire others to reflect. Nia, as always, was her biggest supporter. "I'm proud of you, Amara," she said as she helped her daughter prepare her speech. "Your grandfather would have been proud too. You're carrying on his legacy." As the day of the assembly approached, Amara found herself filled with both excitement and nervousness. She rehearsed her speech repeatedly, wanting to ensure her message was clear and impactful. She knew this was more than just an opportunity to speak. It was a moment to redefine how her school community saw her, not as the maid's daughter, but as a young woman determined to make a difference. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation on the day of the assembly. Amara felt a mixture of anxiety and determination as she stepped onto the stage. Her eyes scanned the crowd, catching sight of familiar faces. Liam, sitting with a few supportive friends, and even Sophia, who appeared genuinely interested. Amara took a deep breath and began, "Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that many of us might not think about every day, but it's something that affects us all: prejudice." Her voice was steady, her words carefully chosen. "For a long time, I allowed myself to be defined by labels that were imposed on me, not ones I chose. But I've come to realize that we have the power to challenge those labels." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We all come from different backgrounds, and we all have stories that others may not understand. But just because someone's story is different from yours doesn't make it any less valuable." Amara's speech was met with attentive silence, but she could feel the room's energy shift as she spoke from the heart. She described the pain of being belittled, the courage it took to rise above it, and the strength she found in her heritage. She shared her grandfather's legacy, explaining how his battles for justice had inspired her own journey. As Amara concluded her speech, there was a moment of stillness, followed by applause that gradually grew louder. Some students even stood up, clapping. It was a surreal moment for Amara. She felt a rush of relief and triumph, knowing she had spoken her truth and that people had listened. Later that afternoon, Sophia approached Amara outside the school, her expression more vulnerable than Amara had ever seen. "Amara, can we talk for a minute?" Sophia asked, her voice lacking its usual confidence. Amara hesitated but then nodded. "Sure." Sophia's eyes were downcast as she began to speak. "I wanted to say how powerful your speech was. It really made me think about what I did to you at the party. I know I hurt you, and I'm really sorry. I've been trying to understand how I can be a better person." Amara studied Sophia for a moment, trying to gauge the sincerity behind her words. This wasn't the same Sophia she had encountered at the party. This version seemed raw, stripped of her usual arrogance. "Thank you for saying that," Amara finally replied. "But you need to understand that it's not just about words. It's about actions and how you treat people, even when you think no one is watching." Sophia nodded earnestly. "I know. That's why I've been volunteering at the community center you're involved with. I want to do better, not just for show, but because I genuinely want to change." Amara felt a mix of skepticism and hope. She wanted to believe that people could change, but she also knew that actions spoke louder than words. "I hope you mean that, Sophia," Amara said, her tone firm but not unkind. "Because people like me have had to deal with prejudice our whole lives. It's not something that disappears overnight." "I understand," Sophia replied, her voice filled with humility. "I've got a lot to learn, but I'm willing to put in the work." In the weeks that followed, Amara noticed Sophia's efforts. She was more inclusive in her interactions, often participating in discussions about diversity and offering to help with school events that promoted cultural awareness. While not everyone believed Sophia's transformation, Amara was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, for now. Meanwhile, Amara continued to thrive. Her confidence was evident not just in her academic success but in the way she carried herself. Liam remained a constant presence in her life, supporting her at debates, school events, and community activities. Their friendship had grown deeper, rooted in mutual respect and understanding. One day, Amara was approached by Mrs. Green, the school counselor. "Amara, I just wanted to tell you how much of an impact you've made here," she said warmly. "You've become a role model for many students, showing them that it's possible to rise above prejudice with grace and courage." Amara smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment. "Thank you, Mrs. Green. I've just been trying to be true to myself and stand up for what's right." But just as Amara felt she was truly making a difference, she faced an unexpected challenge. One afternoon, while walking through the school's main corridor, she overheard a group of students making derogatory comments about her speech, calling it overly dramatic and attention-seeking. The words stung, reminding her that not everyone would be willing to change or accept her message. For a brief moment, she felt a wave of discouragement. But then, she remembered her grandfather's words, which Naya had often repeated, "The fight for justice is not easy, but it's necessary." With renewed determination, Amara confronted the group calmly but firmly. "If you have questions or doubts about what I said, I'm open to discussing it with you," she said, her voice unwavering. "But making fun of someone who's trying to make a difference isn't productive. We're all here to learn, right?" The group fell silent, some looking away in discomfort, others appearing to reconsider their behavior. It was a small victory, but it was significant. Amara knew that not everyone would change overnight, but she was planting seeds of awareness, and that was enough. As the school year progressed, Amara's reputation as a resilient, thoughtful, and inspiring young woman grew. She knew that there were still battles to face, but she felt ready. Her grandfather's legacy lived on within her, guiding her path as she continued to challenge prejudice, one conversation at a time. The arrival of spring brought a sense of renewal to Amara's school, and with it, a noticeable shift in the social dynamics. Amara's unwavering efforts to foster understanding and inclusivity had begun to make a tangible impact. She wasn't just the girl who stood up for herself at a party. She had become a respected voice in her school community. Still, Amara was aware that change was a complex, slow process. True transformation was about more than apologies. It was about consistency, growth, and accountability. Sophia's journey of transformation seemed to be a perfect example of this. Amara had seen her make a sincere effort to be more open, kind, and aware of the privileges she once took for granted. Sophia now spent time volunteering at the community center, where she actively participated in programs aimed at helping underprivileged youth gain access to education and mentorship. Amara often found herself working alongside Sophia during these events, and while their interactions were cordial, there was still an underlying sense of caution. One sunny Saturday afternoon, the community center organized a special event focused on empowering young women of color. The event included speeches, workshops, and group discussions that encouraged attendees to share their stories of resilience. Amara was one of the featured speakers, and as she stood before the audience, she felt both the weight of responsibility and the excitement of opportunity. Growing up, I was taught that our strength is not in our ability to avoid challenges, but in our willingness to face them head-on, Amara said to the crowd, her voice filled with emotion. We all carry stories of prejudice, and while those stories can be painful, they can also be powerful tools for change. The crowd responded warmly, with applause and cheers echoing throughout the room. Amara spotted Sophia in the audience, clapping enthusiastically, her expression one of genuine admiration. In that moment, Amara felt a sense of progress, not just for herself, but for everyone who had been marginalized or underestimated. However, as the event wrapped up, an unexpected situation unfolded. Emma, one of Sophia's closest friends, approached Amara. Emma had been one of the most vocal instigators during the party humiliation, and had never shown any interest in reconciliation. Amara braced herself, unsure of what Emma wanted. "Hey, Amara," Emma began, her tone surprisingly soft. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Amara nodded, her curiosity piqued. "Sure." Emma seemed nervous, shifting her weight from one foot to the other. "I just wanted to say, I was wrong. About everything. About you, about the way we treated you at the party, all of it. I was too busy trying to fit in and be popular to realize how hurtful my actions were." Amara listened quietly, her heart conflicted. Part of her wanted to accept the apology, while another part of her felt the residual sting of the pain caused by Emma and others. "I appreciate you saying that," Amara replied carefully. "But you need to understand that it's not easy to forget what happened. Apologies are important, but they're just the beginning. Real change is about actions, not just words." Emma nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I know. I just hope you'll give me a chance to show that I can be better." Amara's expression softened. She recognized that Emma's vulnerability was genuine, and for the first time she saw a glimpse of the girl behind the facade. "We all make mistakes," Amara said. "The important thing is to learn from them." After the event, Amara found herself reflecting on the concept of karma. Sophia, Emma, and others who had once mistreated her were now confronting the consequences of their actions. It wasn't about revenge, it was about accountability. The universe had a way of balancing things, and Amara believed that the growth she witnessed in those around her was a testament to that. Meanwhile, Amara's bond with Liam had continued to deepen. They often spent weekends volunteering at the community center, discussing their goals, dreams, and fears. One evening, as they sat on a park bench after a long day of volunteering, Liam turned to Amara with a thoughtful expression. "You know, I used to think that changing the world was about making grand gestures," Liam said. "But watching you, I've realized that it's actually about small, consistent acts of kindness and courage. You've taught me a lot, Amara." Amara smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "And you've shown me that not everyone from Sophia's world is the same. I used to assume the worst about people like you, but you've proven me wrong." Liam looked at her, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "I think we've both learned a lot from each other." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of a phone ringing. It was a call from Nia, who had urgent news to share. "Amara, you need to come home as soon as you can," Nia said, her voice tinged with excitement. "There's something important I need to tell you." Amara hurried home, her mind racing with possibilities. When she arrived, she found Nia sitting at the kitchen table, a letter in her hand and tears of joy in her eyes. "What's going on, Mom?" Amara asked, her heart pounding. Nia handed her the letter, unable to contain her smile. "It's from the scholarship foundation you applied to. You got it, Amara? You got the full scholarship." Amara stared at the letter, her hands trembling. It was true. She had earned a prestigious scholarship to her dream university. Overwhelmed with emotion, she hugged Nia tightly. "We did it, Mom. We really did it." Nia pulled back, tears of pride streaming down her face. "I always knew you could do it, Amara. This is just the beginning." News of Amara's scholarship spread quickly, earning her congratulations from classmates and teachers alike. Even Sophia made a point to approach Amara with a heartfelt, "You deserve this." But karma continued to play its part in Sophia's life as well. Despite her efforts to make amends, Sophia found herself facing social isolation from some of her former friends. They saw her attempts at change as disingenuous, believing she was only trying to clean up her image. It was a harsh reality for Sophia, but it was also a necessary one. She had to learn that real change wasn't about being liked, it was about being better, even when it was difficult. Amara watched Sophia's struggle with mixed feelings. She felt empathy, knowing how isolating it could be to feel misunderstood. But she also knew that Sophia's journey was one she had to navigate on her own. As Amara prepared for her final days of high school, she was filled with a sense of fulfillment and readiness for the future. The girl who had once been humiliated for her background was now celebrated for her strength, resilience, and achievements. She felt a deep sense of pride, not just for overcoming adversity, but for staying true to herself throughout it all. The day before graduation, Amara visited her grandfather Robert's memorial, a small plaque in the local park honoring his work for civil rights. She placed a single white flower at its base and spoke softly, her voice filled with emotion. "I did it, Grandpa. I carried your legacy forward." Standing there under the open sky, Amara felt a profound sense of closure. She realized that her journey wasn't just about overcoming prejudice. It was about embracing her identity, inspiring others, and showing that karma had a way of working for those who persisted with integrity and heart. Graduation day dawned with clear skies and a palpable sense of excitement in the air. The culmination of years of hard work, personal growth, and resilience had finally arrived for Amara. As she stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her graduation cap, she felt a rush of mixed emotions, pride, relief, and a hint of bittersweet nostalgia. She was about to leave behind a chapter of her life that had been defined by both immense challenges and profound triumphs. Nia entered the room, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "You look beautiful, Amara," she said, her voice full of pride. "Today is your day." Amara smiled at her mother, feeling a surge of gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you, Mom." Nia hugged her tightly. "And your grandfather's spirit, don't forget that. He's with you, always." The graduation ceremony was a lively affair, with students, parents, and teachers gathered in the school's sprawling lawn. Amara took her seat among her classmates, feeling a sense of camaraderie with those who had shared this journey with her. As the principal called each student's name, the crowd cheered, celebrating not just the end of high school, but the beginning of new possibilities. When it was Amara's turn to receive her diploma, the applause was louder than she had expected. She glanced toward the crowd and saw Nia standing with her hands over her heart, tears streaming down her face. Amara's eyes also caught sight of Liam, who was beaming with pride, and Sophia, who was clapping enthusiastically. The moment was surreal, a testament to how far she had come and the impact she had made. The principal took the microphone for the closing remarks, inviting a few students to share their stories. Amara had been selected as the valedictorian, and as she stepped up to the podium, she felt a surge of both nerves and excitement. She looked out at the sea of faces, recognizing many who had been part of her journey, both the supporters and the detractors. "Today is more than just the end of high school for me," Amara began, her voice clear and strong. "It's a celebration of resilience, not just mine, but of everyone who has ever felt like they didn't belong. I learned that it's not the labels others place on us that define us, but how we rise above them." She paused, allowing the words to sink in. "I come from a line of strong people. My grandfather fought for civil rights because he believed in a world where everyone, regardless of their background, deserves respect and equal opportunities. My mother, who worked tirelessly to support me, showed me that dignity is something no one can take away. And today I stand here not just as the daughter of a maid, but as a young woman who believes that our stories matter. The crowd erupted into applause, and Amara felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had spoken not only for herself, but for those who often went unheard. It was a powerful moment of closure, one that marked the end of a challenging chapter and the beginning of an exciting new journey. After the ceremony, Amara found herself surrounded by friends, teachers, and well-wishers. Liam approached her holding a small gift bag. "Congratulations, Amara. I knew you'd make it this far, and I can't wait to see what you do next." Amara opened the bag to find a book on historical Black figures who had made significant contributions to civil rights. She looked up at Liam, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Liam. This means a lot." Liam shrugged modestly. "You've inspired me more than you know. I wanted to give you something that would remind you of how much you've already achieved." Just then, Sophia approached with a shy smile. "Amara, I know I've said this before, but I want to say it again. Congratulations, and thank you. You've shown me what real courage looks like, and I hope we can continue to be friends as you move on to college." Amara appreciated Sophia's sincerity. "Thank you, Sophia. It hasn't been an easy journey, but I believe in second chances, and I'm glad to see you're making the most of yours." Sophia's eyes were filled with emotion as she replied, "You've taught me so much, Amara, not just about prejudice, but about how to be a better person." As the day continued, Amara and Nia shared a quiet moment together under a large oak tree on the school grounds. "We did it, Mom," Amara said, her voice thick with emotion. Nia's eyes shone with pride. "No, you did it, Amara. I just provided the foundation, but you built this success with your own strength." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching other graduates and their families celebrate nearby. Amara felt a sense of peace that she hadn't experienced in a long time. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but she also knew she was ready. Later that evening, Amara decided to visit her grandfather's memorial once more. She stood there, feeling the weight of her accomplishments and the legacy she was carrying forward. "I promise to keep fighting for what's right, Grandpa," she whispered, her heart swelling with determination. "And I'll make you proud." As the sun set, Amara felt a gentle breeze brush her cheeks, almost as if it were her grandfather's silent approval. It was a perfect end to a day filled with closure, hope, and new beginnings. A week later, Amara packed her bags and prepared to leave for college. Nia hugged her tightly, tears flowing freely. "Go make your mark on the world, Amara. You've already made such a difference here. I know you'll do even more out there." Amara nodded, her heart full. "I will, Mom. I promise." With a final wave, Amara boarded the bus to her new life, leaving behind not her past, but the pain and prejudice that had once threatened to hold her back. She carried with her the lessons she had learned, the friendships she had forged, and the knowledge that she was stronger than any label, stereotype, or assumption. She was ready to continue her journey, knowing that karma would be her guide and integrity her compass. As the bus drove away, Amara looked out the window, feeling a mix of nostalgia and excitement. The road ahead was filled with endless possibilities, and for the first time, she truly believed that she was capable of achieving anything she set her mind to. Her story wasn't just one of overcoming prejudice. It was a story of reclaiming her identity, her power, and her future. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this story, don't miss the next one. Click on the video now to watch. We appreciate your support, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.